Section 1 of Sir Edmund Orme. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Nicholas Clifford. Sir Edmund Orme by Henry James. Section 1. The statement appears to have been written, though the fragment is undated, long after the death of his wife, whom I take to have been one of the persons referred to. There is, however, nothing in the strange story to establish this point, which is, perhaps, not of importance. When I took possession of his effects, I found these pages in a locked drawer among papers relating to that unfortunate lady's too brief career. She died in childbirth a year after her marriage. Letters, memoranda, accounts, faded photographs, cards of invitation. That is the only connection I can point to, and you may easily and will probably say that the tale is too extravagant to have had a demonstrable origin. I cannot, I admit, vouch for his having intended it as a report of real occurrence. I can only vouch for his general veracity. In any case, it was written for himself, not for others. I offer it to others, having full option, precisely because it is so singular. Let them, in respect to the form of the thing, bear in mind that it was written quite for himself. I have altered nothing but the names. If there's a story in the matter, I recognize the exact moment at which it began. This was on a soft, still Sunday noon in November, just after church, on the sunny parade. Brighton was full of people. It was the height of the season, and the day was even more respectable than lovely, which helped to account for the multitude of walkers. The blue sea itself was decorous. It seemed to doze, with a gentle snore, if that be decorum, as if nature were preaching a sermon. After writing letters all the morning, I had come out to take a look at it before luncheon. I was leaning over the rail which separates the King's Road from the beach, and I think I was smoking a cigarette, when I became conscious of an intended joke in the shape of a light walking stick laid across my shoulders. The idea, I found, had been thrown off by Teddy Bostwick, of the Rifles, and was intended as a contribution to talk. Our talk came off as we strolled together. He always took your arm to show you he forgave you your obtuseness about his humour, and looked at the people and bowed to some of them, and wondered who others were, and differed in opinion as to the prettiness of the girls. About Charlotte Marden we agreed, however, as we saw her coming toward us with her mother, and there surely could have been no one who wouldn't have agreed with us. The Brighton air of old used to make plain girls pretty, and pretty girls prettier still. I don't know whether it works the spell now. The place, at any rate, was rare for complexions, and Miss Marden's was one that made people turn round. It made us stop, heaven knows. At least it was one of the things, for we already knew the ladies. We turned with them, we joined them, we went where they were going. They were only going to the end and back, they had just come out of church. It was another manifestation of Teddy's humour that he got immediate possession of Charlotte, leaving me to walk with her mother. However, I was not unhappy. The girl was before me, and I had her to talk about. We prolonged our walk. Mrs. Marden kept me, and presently she said she was tired and must sit down. We found a place on a sheltered bench. We gossiped as the people passed. It had already struck me in this pair that the resemblance between the mother and the daughter was wonderful even among such resemblances, the more so that it took so little account of a difference of nature. One often hears mature mothers spoken of as warnings, signposts more or less discouraging of the way daughters may go. But there was nothing deterrent in the idea that Charlotte at 55 should be as beautiful, even though it were conditioned on her being as pale and preoccupied as Mrs. Marden. At 22 she had a kind of rosy blankness, and she was admirably handsome. Her head had the charming shape of her mother's, and her features the same fine order. Then there were looks and movements and tones, moments when you could scarcely say whether it were aspect or sound, which between the two personalities were a reflection, a recall. These ladies had a small fortune and a cheerful little house at Brighton, full of portraits and tokens and trophies, stuffed animals on the top of bookcases, and sallow, varnished fish under glass, to which Mrs. Marden professed herself attached by pious memories. Her husband had been
Sample complete. Ready to continue?